breathers. This is Tracy.
And Lauren.
We're bringing you another episode today. Today we want to do something a little different, though. We've gotten some feedback from you, the Breather Nation, which is you kind of just want to hear us shoot the shit a little bit. So
turns out y'all like the banter.
So we're going to do an episode that surrounds that. We're going to dive into our own pop culture stuff and then look at like how that dovetails with our lives. So you're going to learn a lot about us today. So sit back, relax, and listen to us self-reflect and roast each other and enjoy. And what we want to hear from you guys is, do you have something like this? What is your, yeah, I did really like the Mad Max series, and I was also kind of a...
If Gossip Girl spoke to you in ways it probably shouldn't have,
yes,
and affected your dating life, let us know.
Yes.
Or was it Joey from Blossom? Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes. I mean, I think, like when our daughter was young, her favorite characters at first, like little, like 2, where she doesn't really know what's going on, but she would like crack up at the villains. She thought Jafar from Aladdin was top-notch comedy. Like, this guy. And we're like, whoa. And you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think all of us had a little bit of that, right? Like, I think the villain was alluring. There was a level of riz that you're like, damn, she's evil, but I kind of want to be like her.
But I don't know that everybody felt like that. I mean, I think they, by design, like,
but as a little girl,
but did you want to have,
like, she's really bad, but look at those cheekbones, Maleficent.
But okay, now as an adult, fuck yeah, I want to be Ursula, 110,000%.
Well, we talked about Elsa in the last, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I get
put me in an ice castle.
I get it. Peace. I'm gonna let it go all over your face.
Right.
But like. But I think that's like an adult coming into my own kind of thing. Because if somebody had called me Ursula at 10, I'd have been like, wow.
Oh, you're saying that I'm overweight and purple?
Wow. But yeah. So anyway, if you have something, we want to hear it.
Give us all your brain worms.
What is a brain worm?
It's a thought that just worms its way around and it's just crazy and you share it with people and you forget that you're not in the safety of your own home.
That felt really specific. Like it is.
That's what I think brain worms are.
You've been personally victimized by your brain worms.
Because that's like, y'all don't think that way? Oh, it's just me? Okay, cool.
No, your brain worms are contagious, I believe.
I can see that.
That is
when I go on tangents, I bring people with me. I do like a good road trip. Let's go.
Fantastic. I had no choice. Consent does not matter to Lauren's brain worms.
But if anybody brought snacks, that would be dope.
So what were your comfort shows growing up? It was harder as in our age to like rewatch things, but I definitely had some VHS cassette tapes that saw a lot of rewinding in there.
God, are we talking are we doing anywhere between 13?
What, just like, if you think about like back when you were still being formed.
I was a big fan of Anna Green Gables, so nerdy, but I loved it. I think it was always the coziness of it, right? Like the winter episodes, and they were baking, and I loved the dad. Oh my God, I forgot his name.
Mr. Gables?
No, it was Miranda and the husband.
Somebody listening right now is screaming the name of this husband to you.
I know, and I'm trying to connect. Oh my God. I'll look that up later. Anyway, it was just, I was back to the dad vibe. Like, I was always protective of.
That was your main dude?
Yeah,
like, that's who you weren't about Anne, you were about the dad?
I was about the relationship that he, like, bought her a dress that she couldn't get, but she wanted big sleeves, and he got her the dress with the big sleeves for the party with Diana.
So he was like very attuned to her needs.
Yes. Yes. And Cuthbert, not Gilbert. Sorry. It's all coming back to me now. But I think that the friendship she had with Gilbert, but then you're also the boy. This is where there's deep cuts. The boy was picking on Anne, and she fought back, and they ended up throughout this whole series of just like nagging and jabbing each other, and they ended up married. Like,
that
read me, Dr. Phil. What problems could possibly be in that
do
synopsis.
you want me to try to do it?
Go for it, man.
Oh, the joy of knowing someone since birth. Okay, well, I would say obviously it's very much alike. You look very much at the male-female relationships.
Yep.
You didn't mention any of her girlfriends. You didn't mention any of that. The dad, which I do think you had a good relationship with your dad.
Yes.
But that was like the Hollywood version of your dad's relationship, right? Because he could afford to buy her dresses.
Mhm.
Your dad was a lot of wonderful things.
Mhm.
This man was not a mind reader.
No.
Like you had to spell it out for him.
And it was
so
Matthew Cuthbert. My bad. I found it. Continue.
everyone can breathe a sigh of relief.
I'm so happy.
We can continue now. But I think that is like, that almost speaks to like your healthy relationship with your dad. Only because I know you.
Right.
Oh, that's like, look at the idealized version of what I'm seeing.
Like look, Lauren, what I got you.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And it was him attempting to I don't know, feel like it was the daddy spoiling his daughters kind of.
It was like what TV was for us when it was just like, oh, look at that like glossed up perfected version of what I already had.
Yes.
So that's what I think was that for you. Are you prepared to go deeper into the abyss?
Let's dive. Let's put on those masks.
You got bullied in school. You were a big romantic. All of this speaks to the fact that you're a Cancer. This whole thing is just big Cancer energy, first of all.
Bars, yes.
Because you want to be cozy and comfortable and you like the aesthetics of it.
Yes.
But also, I think you have been a romantic since before it was
cute.
I mean, it was so cute, but like, what? Like, why are you're like 4 and you were like, romantic. Like, I'm surprised that based on the way we grew up, especially, and I think you were the driving force of this a little bit, and I don't say that in a bad way, because I'm like my kids don't really have like crush. Well, my daughter in particular is like, I don't know, man. She'd be like, I'm 7, I'm 8, and I'm like, wait.
Not everybody does that?
Because we were simps for New Kids on the Block.
Oh my God.
So anyway, so all of this.
There's a lot of my friends out there that are going to listen to this that are going to be like, ha ha, me too. Also, we're talking sheets, pillowcases, girl, big pins, little pins.
I would like to, and I want to continue with Anne of Green Gables right now, but I would love to go even back to what your favorite New Kid said about you. Because I had said years ago, my husband and I were talking about this, and I was like, girls, and I apologize if anybody feels attacked here. I was like, girls whose favorite was Donnie loved the smell of gasoline and white leather. You know what I mean?
That track.
Like, that's just funny. It. Like,
that's so funny.
Like,
this is so funny.
They smoked like Marlboro Lights.
Nice.
Right? So that I feel like that's like the Donnie, like you were with your whole chest saying, yeah, I like the bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just do it. Okay, so I liked Joey McIntyre.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't say liked. I am currently still in love with Joey McIntyre. I didn't go. I am your girl. So just like hit me up sometime.
Just step by step right on up to her. Yeah, I was a Jordan head. I loved.
You did.
I did.
So what do you think Joey says about me? That Joey was my favorite.
Oh man. He was the young one.
Yes.
He was the underdog. He was the one that needed, the protection of the older boys.
He was baby.
He was passenger princess, man.
For clarification, I'm the youngest out of the cousins and an only child. So I didn't have siblings of my own growing up. Yes, he was baby, and I wanted to be. I was in theory baby, and he seemed the most appropriate for me. I was like, some of these are men,
right?
I am 7. I need the one with the falsetto,
right?
Like, yeah, that sounds like
the shortest one, the baby one.
Well, and the most beautiful.
He was not bad looking when he got older. And I know there's only a 2-year difference, but he looked like a
yeah.
He was a short rounded.
Is
that a girl that wears Teen Spirit and chews bubblegum flavored
bubblegum? What are you doing?
Wait.
Roasted. You chewed bubblegum flavored bubblegum. Ew.
Damn. There you go.
First of all,
watermelon.
I was a strawberry bubblicious girl. I don't know. I think it is like like the younger fan, the innocent one, the one that doesn't understand how weird it is that we're like screaming over these boys. But I'm excited for one reason, but this girl fainting that's 16 is like,
yeah, but it's kind of that like, I'm totally down for you, but I'm not going to freak out. Like, I can't fangirl on you.
Well, I think I was just naive too of like, I don't even really get what we're doing, but I like this music and we're all a part of something. And okay, Joey.
Let's vibe.
I want to say the Jordan girls, I think you wanted to be on trend. Like he was the cookie cutter, what they were going for, I think, out of them. Joey was young. Donnie was the bad boy. John was like the quiet one. Danny was the personality higher because, oof.
There's a lot of Danny fans that are like, seething.
Wait, if you're a Danny fan, I think you're also an empath who really doesn't see how they're worth completely. Because you were out here thinking like, oh, I'll just take the ugly one.
Oh, damn.
You're better than that.
Maybe they were just like, he's got personality.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I mean, like,
maybe.
Yeah.
But like, I don't really know how they learned his. I suppose if you were an older fan where you were like out here reading like articles about them,
or he's the one that looks like he's 35 amongst all of them that look like they're 16. So you would be the.
Wait, I wonder if it was like if moms liked him the best.
Probably.
I don't know. God bless you, Danny. But I think Jordan was like the face of it, right? Mm-hmm. So that became like the gold standard.
But he was like the suave one. He was the one with the finger guns.
Right. But that's what a front man has to be.
Right.
And so I think that's alluring to a very classically romantic and
the leading man.
Correct.
And you want to be that you're Prince Charming kind of guy.
Well, and New Kids played into, like you said, we all had the buttons, we all had everything. So we were talking about, I mean, there were trading cards for God's sakes. There's only five of these men and we're trading cards. Like what?
Oh yeah.
How many different had the episode they were on Oprah, go back to my precious VHS tapes.
Yeah. Oh, I remember us all sitting on Grandma and Grandpa's bed, watching and rewinding and watching and pausing.
Yes.
And pausing, rewinding and it was hilarious.
Well,
and the amount of dopamine you got even sitting on the bed watching.
I might as well have been there.
There was no HD, y'all. It was fuzzy as hell.
We were screaming.
You couldn't make out eyeballs, nose holes or mouth holes. It was so fuzzy. There was no it was
and we were living for
primitive, and we were living.
We thought we were at the cutting edge. You guys had a separate tool to rewind videos, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
That rich,
rich,
we were
ballers,
but like not really.
No.
But
no.
To me,
it literally, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure I was wrong, but I remember at some point it was $29.
Yeah, but back then that was a pretty penny. That was your dad. I feel very much that was your dad's undiagnosed ADHD purchase.
Dopamine.
Just like, look what I can do.
Look what I did.
I mean, it was if you were having a movie night, it really cut down on the transition time.
Bro.
Yeah, you guys were rich because you had stairs and a rewinder.
I can see that.
I think John was the quiet one. Girls who wanted a sweetie. And did not want.
Well, they wanted to uncover the love, right?
Yeah,
if they're shy and misanthrope,
I don't think he was misanthrope. I don't think he was anti.
I think he definitely was
introverted.
Introverted, yes, but he was definitely not the one that was in the front.
No, he's not the one that's going to quick answer the. He's not going to grab the mic to answer the questions in the interview.
Right.
Yeah, he's the shy one.
Right. But to be the girl to break the shy one.
Yeah.
And to be the girl that got all the attention from that one where he was just looking at his toes and kicking rocks.
Right.
If you can get his attention and make that person emote, then what kind of power do you have?
Agreed. I also think from another perspective, a shy guy is the safest bet.
Mm-hmm.
They don't come off as somebody that's going to.
What do dudes say about shy girls?
I don't know. What do they say about
the quiet ones? You got to worry about.
Why?
Because I think from what I've heard, I could be wrong. Any male listeners, a lot of dudes think shy girls are the freakiest in bed.
But I think you want to think that because then it gives you something to fantasize about. If a girl is boisterous and talkative,
but girls do the same shit. Like the shy one, I want to crack open.
Yes, but I don't think it's as. I think it doesn't go sexual necessarily. Well, maybe it's for you. I guess I don't know. There you go. Okay, well then maybe yes. I think I don't know that. Well, maybe. I mean, maybe that is just the chase of it, right? So if somebody's shy and you are somebody who has the patience for that.
Yes. I'm going to work at this, or I'm gonna try to crack this nut.
Yeah. Literally.
Yikes.
Would you say you're gonna crack it or bust it?
Ew.
Oh, explicit
content.
And I would say I think I was Joey, then maybe John, and then Jordan.
Okay.
And then later, as I got older, I'm like, oh, I wish I had liked Donnie, because that was like cool.
Donnie, I will tell you, fast forward, Donnie is kind of hot now. Like, I look at him at, like, because we went to the concert like 10 years ago, and I was like, okay.
They all look good. I went a couple years ago. They all look good.
Did I tell you?
Even Danny, I'm like, now that we're closer in age, like
he passes.
You're doing okay, yeah.
Yeah. Did I tell you I met Jonathan Knight?
I don't remember it, but I feel like you did.
St. Charles, y'all. Yep.
Say more. What are you doing?
I was passing on the sidewalk, and I made eye contact with him, and I looked at him. I was like, "That's Jonathan Knight." And then as he was passing me, I'm not making any excuses for my behavior, but I just lightly touched like a touch on the arm, and I said, "Oh my God, I'm in love with you. I won't say anything." Very quickly like that, he turned around, winked at me, and kept walking. It was very slight exchange. Now, fast forward a couple hours later, this is at the Fall Fest in St. Charles, and I was sitting in the van with my friend waiting for her daughter, and he was out smoking a cigarette. Don't want to put you on Front Street, John. But then my friend said, open the window and ask him. And I was like, I can possibly ask him. I cannot possibly. And I did. And he came over.
No, you did. What did you say?
I did. I was like, I have a question, sir. And he came over to the car. And I said, this is going to bother me all night. If I was like, are you got to be Jonathan Knight. You're Jonathan Knight. He's like, touches my arm, pats it, and says, "No, my name is Brian Knight." And I was Brian something. So what I was attempting or guessing that he and winking is like, yes, you know who I am. I'm not going to tell you that. I just want to have my cigarette. And I don't know like it was him, dude. It was him. I'm just saying. They were all there.
What do you mean they were all there?
They were all staring at the Baker Hotel, because that's where Donnie and Jenny live in St. Charles.
You did some recon later and found out that, or I guess is recon.
Oh yeah, after I got home, I was like, it all added up.
Oh, there were facts to support
that.
Because that makes me feel a lot better. Because up until this point, I'm like, you were like those celebrities that like are not actually, like, people are like, oh, look at this picture I have with.
He's like, oh, sweetheart, no, you're really delusional. No, there was obviously, even my friend that was with me, she was like, oh my God.
In my head, he is wearing like a blue collared shirt and a mustard colored blazer.
No, he was wearing a sweater, half zip up, and a North Face mini, like a micro puff jacket.
Okay.
And jeans.
And was this like pre being able to take a selfie with him? Or you just didn't
I just didn't do it. No, I didn't want to put him on blast.
Okay, but you didn't even take a picture of him like from the van before he was looking?
I wasn't thinking.
God, that would have
Dude, I was in my right mind.
Listen, you know what? I have to say, actually, I always thought I would not be somebody that gets like starstruck, but John and I went to New York City for like Christmas time.
New York City!
And we actually got snowed in, so we ended up having to stay an extra night. So Christmas Eve, we went to the Spotted Pig, which is like, I guess, a thing. And Neil Patrick Harris walked in, but he's with like older adults. And so I'm like, this is Christmas Eve. Like, I can't.
Yeah, don't.
I cannot go. However, even it's not embarrassing her. It's just a little pathetic, but I feel safe with you. They didn't have gendered bathrooms. It was just gender neutral bathrooms.
Oh.
So my ass took my phone, opened up the camera, and just stood there for like 10 minutes, just hoping that this man would come into this bathroom. Oh. And I loved Jugi. I like How I Met Your Mother, but I just like the fact that I was like shaking at this interaction. It didn't end up, nothing happened. I went back and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to leave this person alone. Like,
oh, look at you.
And I do realize now that I was giving you shit. I don't think I took a picture of him either.
Because you're not in your right mind.
But also I think I was like, the fact that it was Christmas Eve, I think, grounded me in reality to be like, this is extra fucked up if I try to bother him tonight. But I was shocked that I cared at all. I think it's like, I like that things like that make my world feel smaller.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, this is a real person that exists. Like, these are not magic, like
watching
on my
Doogie Howser on Sundays after, 2 plates of spaghetti at Grandma and Grandpa's house.
2 plates of spaghetti, Doogie Howser.
Ah, Doogie. And there, and then you see him in your world. And it's like, whoa, these two worlds converging.
Well, and he was definitely back in a big way by then. Like, I think that was other
100%.
Like, if I had seen, like, oh, God bless him, but if I had seen, like, Fred Savage,
dude,
I don't think I would have been as nervous, because I would have been like, this is probably a kick for you. But he was in the height of, like, Barney on How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
So it was a big, I guess that is it. It was a big deal because we were watching him every day. So, but I was surprised at how starstruck I got, because I thought I would not be like that. Okay. So let's dig into some more. I was rewatching before it was easy. Like, I was out here just replaying. I would come home from 7th grade and rewatch Speed on VHS with Keanu Reeves every day. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Every day. I mean, I think I stopped counting it like 60 times that I rewatched this. And yet I remained undiagnosed for years.
I did the same. I'm not going to get into it. Yes.
Well, you will, but not. But so I loved Speed. And then the next movie, and this hit both of us actually, but I'm sure for different reasons, was Titanic. Right. So those are the two. Like, I saw that 5 times in the theater.
I saw it the first time with you.
I know, we saw it on New Year's Eve, I think. Yeah. And we just weeped.
Like, ugly cried.
It's just,
there was tears, 1 tear, 2 tears. No. It was a solid, like, brick in your throat, streaming, ugly crying.
Yeah, I was a literal wreck.
Yeah. We were affected by that weeks after.
I'm affected by that right now.
Yeah, I still can't bring myself to watch the whole movie to become emotionally invested.
I said to my daughter, I'm like, I just don't want to do it to you yet. Like, I'm sorry. I just can't. And it's not even the main people.
Live your life. You don't need therapy yet.
The minute that Irish mom tucks her 2 kids into bed, I will cry right now. Don't test me. And starts reading them to sleep.
You cried before you were a mom.
Because I cried before, because then they do the whole montage. The old people. I mean, it just.
Then the orchestra, they're not stopping. It was the whole emotionally debilitating scene after scene. Like, the animals that killed me. Like,
I think that was like hitting me right in my teenage years, and I've always been a little bit of a, like, I have a rising Libra sign, but also like I was like gifted unknown neurodivergent kid, so a sense of justice was strong in me and fairness, and so the whole steerage thing was like, oh my gosh, like it was like radicalizing me. I mean, it was 1912, so I was really gonna do a whole lot about it, but
the unfairness
of it.
Yeah,
so that was what really got me.
It was not equal at all. There's social injustice in that movie is thick.
Well, and it's not even in the, like, it's the social injustice
it's
that
real
actually
life.
existed.
It actually happened.
It's not like you're overreacting about something that didn't happen. I think that was it, that, like, not only am I seeing this, but these were, and obviously they probably weren't based on real characters. Like, the characters were just characters, but it still was based on shit that people had to actually do. And I just couldn't.
It was art imitating life.
Yes.
It was the Titanic existed. It really did sink. Yeah. And it happened on that date. And there were the captain. There were a lot of real life characters in that movie, to where steerage versus, second, third, fourth, and first class, whatever class, was real life. Yeah. And they got the brunt of it.
I also think, remember, like, those Lurleen McDaniels books where it was like everybody was dying?
I do not remember that.
Oh my God. No one remembers these but me. Maybe it was just me. I was a freak. But, like, there were these books where it was basically The Fault in Our Stars before The Fault in Our Stars was a thing. Okay. And all the books were just people were dying, like somebody was dying in the book.
Yeah.
But I think it was like a safe way to access, I had a lot of big feelings and a very little interest in them from most of the people in my life. So I think it was a place where people are going to judge me if I cry. Like, if you're yelling at me and I start crying, it's going to agitate you in my house.
Yeah.
But who can fault me for crying over the Titanic?
This.
Like, I think that made it safe.
It was permissive crying.
Correct.
Like, you could cry. It was okay.
It was permissible.
Because I was watching this and you had something to fall back. You had a net.
And you, adults in my life, like, it's not making a problem for you because I don't need anything from you. I'm just watching this program. I
gave you an outlet.
Even still now, if I'm like in my feelings, I'll be like, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to get on this phone in the dark and I'm going to look up military people returning home to surprise their dogs and children. And I'm going to weep. And I know I'm going to weep. And I'm going into it. You know, some people get on their computer and they're like, I want to see some porn. Like, let me decide what I want to see. That is my sadness porn where I'm like, I need a quick cry. I mean, I think I once did it because I had something in my eye I couldn't get out. And I'm like, I know what will work. Because it is heartwarming as fuck.
Well, it's the animals being reunited with their owners or somebody, you know, one got me, dude. It was this guy, it was a vet, and he was homeless, and he had to give his dog up because he was homeless.
Yeah.
And he felt like, whatever the backstory is, I understand. Anyway, he gives his dog up. The shelter keeps his dog and ends up paying for him to have an apartment. They get a GoFundMe, and and it's been like weeks or months or something that they've been working on this, and then they, through charities and through all this kind of stuff, were able to reunite the dog with the guy. And I done. I was like, the dog's joy, the guy, it was so, the meeting of it was so, it blew my emotional G-spot to smithereens, dude. I was done.
So many things just happened in what you said. Okay, here's what as I'm listening to this, I'm realizing that would absolutely get me. The description of it got me. Mm-hmm. But I think I prefer the quick snippets because just in that short story, I was already, my justice, like, logistical brain was like, okay, but did they set him up so he'd be able to sustain the apartment? Like, how long was the apartment paid for? Who was paying for the utilities? What you know what I mean? So I need just the emotion. So I can't. It's the same as Titanic. Like, I can just cry about this and not feel like, well, now that I've seen it, I have to do something about it.
Or how can I solve this problem?
Because I am supposed to solve all problems.
Yikes. So where are the parallels between Titanic and Speed?
Shit.
Like, where would you?
All right. Well, two vehicles ostensibly are traveling to their doom. So I guess that's something I like.
Faulty forms of
faulty forms of transportation. The reason that I needed to be a passenger princess, because look what happens when you're out in the streets or the oceans.
That was Final Destination for me. But yeah, continue. Speed.
I can't talk about the logs.
No. Let's not.
City of Angels also. Anyway.
Dude.
Woo! Okay. So in a base level, I guess I liked that formula of like, I also think Sandra Bullock has that line that's like, you tend to fall in love with people when you've been through intense situations.
Yep.
So I think that was a piece of it, was
intense, stressful situations.
Right. So I was like, I did not grow up in a conflict-free home. And so, or with conflict-free parents, I guess I should say.
Isn't that trauma bonding?
Yes. And I think that like spoke to me probably on a little visceral level because it seemed more accurate to like.
Not the romance, but the trauma bonding definitely seems like real life. So why would I waste my bandwidth on Cinderella when Speed is more accurate?
Yeah, I needed something that was eliciting a big emotion that I could watch enough that it didn't elicit any, like, I was able to watch it without feeling like the nervous parts of it and then just enjoy it. So
do you feel like it was kind of, how do I say this, where it almost relaxed that part of your brain that was overthinking the background to the point where something like Speed was how some people watch, you know, a freaking movie that they've seen 18 times on TV where they don't have to think about it.
Exactly is it.
So that kind of reached that part of your brain where you didn't have to problem solve. It was happening before your eyes where you could relax that muscle.
I also think the predictability of it made me feel safe.
Yeah.
And with Titanic,
you knew it was going to happen.
You knew it was going to happen.
It was history.
So you're like, I know what I'm getting into.
Like, not a lot of people are going to walk away from this.
And I think that's the thing, is like knowing what I'm getting into. I'm also trying to think like what what my favorite scenes, like scenes that stick out to me. And I've made a very uncomfortable realization, which is that the scene that sticks out to me in Speed is when she is handcuffed and they realize he can't get the handcuffs off of her. Mm-hmm. And they just sort of like look at each other and he gives this look of realization. But it shows, okay, we're doing this.
We're in
and
this
she was
together.
and she's trying to get, like, she's literally pushing him off. And he's like, no.
This is happening to both of us.
And Rose also was handcuffed, I feel like, to something, or stuck in. Didn't they handcuff her to something?
Oh, no. She was taking Jack's frozen dead hand off of her.
No. That's later.
Oh, gotcha.
No, she was under there.
That's right. Billy Zane's character.
He handcuffed her to
something.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and she was saying the same thing. You have to go. They're both named Jack also. I don't know if that means anything. I guess Jack is short for John. Hi, babe. So
parallels in life.
Okay, this is a very vulnerable moment, but
we're watching this in real time. Well, I am. Be jealous.
The men didn't leave. Like, no matter how tough it got, no matter how difficult it was,
they couldn't even be pushed away.
They put 110% put the person in peril first.
Yes.
And I do not think that was something I was receiving or seeing. Wow. I should just send this directly to my therapist. It would save us a lot of copay. Before we meet, can you just listen to this so we can start right in the middle? But yeah, I think, like,
I'm gonna hit play. Don't say another word. Just listen.
I'm going to take a nap during therapy today and just let you learn. But yeah, because those are also the scenes that stand out.
Well, no matter what,
oh my God,
even being pushed away, the thought of being blown to smithereens could not have that person leave her.
Wait, I'm even wondering too now. The scene that sticks out is that mom tucking her kids in. And that was also hardcore. That mom putting aside all of what she was, I'm sure, going through.
Right.
To just
be strong.
To shelter her kids from it. Instead of being like, kids, what are we going to do?
Yeah. All this responsibility that's supposed to be on my shoulders to show strength, I'm now pushing on to the children because I can't take it.
Right. That was
even having the ability to do that.
Yes.
Or feel like you should.
So the fact that
wasn't an option.
Yes. Wait, explain what you mean. What wasn't it?
Like for mom, that was never even a card to play. It was, I must be strong.
I am mom. I am
mom.
Like
I have to be here.
Yes.
I have to do this. I have to show this face. That's not even an option.
Yeah.
But to think that actually existed somewhere in the universe, but you didn't get a chance to actually.
I was something you're drawn to, right? You watch, sometimes you watch, even like the Anne of Green Gables thing was like aspirational, right?
Yep.
Because it was like, this is like the idealized version of what I'm looking for. And whether you had it in some ways or didn't have it at all, like, yes. So yeah, anyway, therapy through pop culture. We promised
that's some deep freaking banter.
We said it would go there and it went all the way there. So anyway, daddy issues. Cool. Checkmate. Okay, like, what was another fave for Baby Lauren? Or any that, like, you feel like go together? Like, you forced me to see the truth in Speed and Titanic. Thank you. Fuck's sake.
Oh my God. I just, it's when you file through the Rolodex in your brain, you're really like, I mean, all of these could be part of it. If I'm thinking about movies, I think I was always like your Sleeping Beauty. I loved the idea.
You loved Cinderella too, I thought.
Yeah, Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty was all the princes come to save them.
But the princes come to save them a lot. So what? Well, no, because I liked Beauty and the Beast, and that was a daughter sacrificing for her parents. We'll talk about that later, perhaps. Anyway, getting back to you for a little while. So why do you think?
Well, I think if I'm looking at it from a Cinderella vantage point.
Well, and Sleeping Beauty in different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's the Sleeping Beauty. I love to just be asleep in a nice, pretty bed and just wake up. Oh, hey.
But I mean, also she literally was basically imprisoned in her own body waiting for him.
Yes. She put everything was put on pause.
So in either way, they're kind of imprisoned by people and they need rescuing.
And she was hidden.
The people who are supposed to be taking care of her, too.
Right. But the hidden aspect was she was rushed away at night and put in a cute little cabin with these 3 little aunties that were really witches.
And Cinderella, they tried to hide her from
oh, yeah. They put her in the room, tried to hide her
wouldn't let her go to the party.
Correct.
Bitch. Who wasn't letting you go to the party, baby? Was it me?
No, I think it was to the if I even went to a party. I was not, sorry for anybody who doesn't believe me, I wasn't really a looker when I was younger.
She did fine.
Well, but I was always in the back funny, cutting jokes and, not a lot of the main character vibes going on. And
oh my God.
Right. But I always would have unattainable crushes. Like I would always I was like, oh my God, he's like, I would fantasize and romanticize.
Wait.
But they're completely unattainable.
Question.
Answer.
Cart before the horse, like chicken or egg. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like the trope of this prince saving the girl because you were just like this little romantic?
Mm-hmm.
Or did you somehow decide in your brain, if I find a man will take me out of this like being in the background thing, and that's why you became somebody who always had crushes?
Yeah.
So
I wanted somebody to take me out of the shadows. I didn't want to walk
so
out of
do
the
you
shadows.
think it wasn't that you were just like a lovey love, but you in an early age knew like a man like that, a relationship,
if I wait long enough,
that's what'll make you special?
Yes. Fuck.
Ooh. Shit,
if
bitch.
you know me, check on me. I am not well.
She's doing great.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Sis. Well, and your dad was like kind of a caretaker
he was
to your
a
mom.
Marine.
Well, he was a Marine. Okay, so yes, so the manly man of it.
Yes.
But he was not a hard ass with your mom. He was
no, but she was special.
But right. Yes. You're agreeing with me.
Oh, 100%. Okay. Yeah, no, I dude, 1,000%. Like I'm processing in real time right now. This is crazy talk. Yeah, and now it's funny to me because instead of waiting to be pulled out of the shadows, I pulled my own ass out of the shadows, walked out myself, and now instead of being in the role of the sleeping princess or the shoe magically fits, I put the shoes on my own feet. They fit just fine. And now I'm going to play my own Prince Charming.
You bought those shoes, babe.
Right.
The damsel and the hero.
Right. But now with my dating prospects, like even when I'm thinking about talking to somebody, it's almost like a cat playing with a toy. The roles are completely reversed.
And I think you said like instead of, but it was like you did absolutely go out and find someone who would provide.
Correct.
Who you could be some like a sub to.
Correct.
And you could like rely on. You achieved what you thought you wanted, and then when it wasn't what you wanted, you were able to get yourself out of it. So let's just take a moment to put some respect on your name.
Okay.
Because that's big, right?
Yeah.
And I also think you needed that because had you just like never found the right person, then always in the back of your head it would be like, well, what would have happened if? Mm-hmm. But you got essentially what you wanted.
Correct.
And you found out it wasn't what you wanted. The shoe
Correct.
did not fit, in fact.
Yeah, I tried on 2 different shoes. I had my ex-husband and an ex-relationship. So I went on both sides of that spectrum and found out, oh, okay, no.
Yeah.
I'm just going to doing it by myself.
But now that you know that you can, it's not like you're like, well, I don't need anybody. Whatever.
Oh, God, no.
But you're like, what I don't need
Correct.
is somebody that can't.
I'm narrowing down my focus.
Right. And you're not thirsty.
No.
Because you don't need, you're like, I could literally live like this. Like I have everything I need. Nobody can touch me. Like, like there's a security in the fact that it's almost weird that
it's liberating.
Yes. And it's weird that sometimes the security comes in having to be on your own. Where like, I feel like growing up, you would feel like, well, oh God, if I'm on my own, I'm not secure.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like, well, that's like because then you're secure in yourself because you're like, I can do anything.
To fall back on yourself.
Right. Whatever happens, yes, I am the only one that is paying these bills, but
Mhm.
also I'm the only one who I have to worry about doing the right thing so that I can pay the bills.
Oh, yes. And it's the freedom, like I joke around with my friends of like, I have the freedom to Winnie the Pooh around my house, eat a cheese stick. And
just to paint a visual for us, can you tell us what it is to Winnie the Pooh around the house?
T-shirt and no pants. Drawers. Yes. I'm talking about there are underwears.
I want to tell you, for those who can't see it, that I opened my mouth to ask her about the underwear, and she caught it and was like, before I even could ask it, she's like, I wore underwear.
This is what the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And I walk around like it is liberating because it creates a confidence in yourself where you go out and you're like, I don't have to be at this party, or I don't have to be here. I got my house.
You have nothing at home you're avoiding.
Correct.
If you're out somewhere, it is not because you needed a break, you needed whatever.
I need to get out of the house. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to fight my way back into the house.
Yes.
Like when I step out of this bad boy, go to work, I clock in, and I'm just like T-minus 7 hours and 52 minutes till I get back in home.
Couchy, can you hear me? 110%. Yes. Oh God, I love being home. Okay, so that was is rough for you, so I'm glad about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, we definitely. I was gonna say something horrible.
Just say it.
I was like, we definitely pegged each other.
Why?
I don't know where it comes from.
I don't know. I'm not keeping the pegging reference in there. Sorry.
No, definitely not. Why would you do that? So your favorite, I would say, movie that tweaked your brain as a kid was A Bad Seed. You love those Bad Seed movies?
Oh my God, thank you for bringing this up. And I feel very seen that you remember this. I have always loved A Bad Seed movie. Like, I watched the black and white movie as a kid.
You took it all the way back.
I loved it. And I think as a kid, I just thought like, well, it's a kid, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's not something that's gone away. Like, I love a book, just like, eat them up real fast, like thriller novels. And when it turns out to be the kid, I was like, yes.
But where did you, what character, the Bad Seed, that character, what about that character did you find parallels in?
I don't think I found parallels. I think wow, I think it was aspirational.
Goals? You're sitting here watching The Bad Seed and you're thinking, man, hashtag life goals, bitch.
Oh
like, how? This bitch is taking notes.
Well,
I was 7 years old with her crayon and her freaking legal pad.
I was like a really well-behaved kid, but I was apparently just a deviant inside, just waiting. Wow, how am I a stable human?
Man, let's crack it open.
Well, I think it was
was it outsmarting the adults?
It was outsmarting the adults. It was I think it was like, instead of getting blamed for things these kids didn't do, these kids are doing whatever the fuck they want and no one's clocking it.
No, they're going so undetected,
right,
that it's like exhilarating. And
I was so scrutinized as a kid.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything undetected.
Yes, it's hard to have a narcissistic parent. And so the idea that not only did this child not feel the need to fall in line for their parents, they literally were like, ain't nobody gonna break on my stride. Like, they're gonna just jack anybody in their way up. Mm-hmm. And that, as I've learned as an adult, which I didn't realize, that is something I learned to do. I once said to my therapist, well, I'm not angry anymore. And something had happened like recently. And she's like, you are actually. And I'm like, no, I'm just let's talk a little today about accessing anger.
Are you sure about
and
that?
I thought it was like, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, the foul things I think in my head, I am the worst. And she's like, in your head is not the same thing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, since I didn't enact any of the murderous plans that, like,
dude, if anybody...
all of the children, oh God, Children of the Corn. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, we built different, babe.
Ooh.
Children of the Corn creep me out Bad Seed creeped me out. Like, I was just like, oh
no,
why would they? Oh, and this, man, it really does slap or hit different.
What?
As an adult,
what?
Thinking about where I'm like, I always was sad when the Bad Seed would go after the mom and dad.
You were sad? You felt bad for the parents?
Well, I first felt bad for the animal. You know, there was always an animal: a cat, a dog, a guinea pig, a fish.
Yeah.
Bad Seed always.
Hush for a second. I was more into female Bad Seeds than male, and I do feel like they didn't have it as much with the females. But you are absolutely right. Like, oh my god, The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin.
Yes.
Macaulay Culkin being the Bad Seed after I had seen him be fucking Home Alone. And then Elijah Wood. What a film. What a film. I loved that movie. Wow, Baby Tracy is
into like Siskel and Ebert.
I think that was like the first R-rated movie I asked to see and was taken to. And it was R-rated because I think he said fuck. I can't remember why, but it was R-rated.
That's fucking
and because his mom like kills him at the end. Spoiler alert for The Good Son, sorry. Like she picks
The Good Son. Didn't come out like 92.
Listen, I don't want any subreddits about how I ruined.
I think that call's coming from inside the house. They're fine. They'll live. Macaulay Culkin.
Okay, just note which one of that one. That's Lauren is the host of the show that said that, and Tracy is the one that keeps trying to.
I will take full blame.
You are canceled by
cancel me
0.00007% of the population of Illinois now.
Ooh, sick burn.
Somebody that knows this is gonna be like, I did the math on that. It's actually a statistically pretty large. Like, I think she should be pretty sad about those 110 people. So, you know who you are.
Lord have mercy.
So, I felt bad for the animals.
Yes, 100%.
I would feel bad for other little kids.
Yes.
But no, I did not feel bad when they took down an adult. I realize now not even.
I felt almost like, God, that brings up a lot of like different, it's very back into dichotomy is insane with this one, because you'd be like, the mom, you were always like, not as upset. But then the dad, I would be like, he didn't know.
No, because they usually kill the dad first.
Yeah.
Because then the mom is like the final boss.
Yeah. You'd feel bad about
Oh my
dad.
God. The kid was the protagonist for me in these movies.
Yes.
That's not good. I've never, the only person I've ever been violent with is sitting in this room right now. And
what?
Wellness check is fine. But yeah, I think I just, like, if I'm watching anything where it's like, okay, Ocean's 11 is like an easily relatable example to the darkness I'm trying to share with you.
That's a great movie.
Okay, it is a great movie. You're absolutely rooting for technically the bad guys. You want them to get away, or did you watch that not wanting them to get away with the? No,
you're causing a brain worm. I definitely did later in life was more drawn to the villain.
But I think,
but why though?
Because like
you were into the villain.
I was ahead of my goddamn time.
Yes, you were ahead of your goddamn time.
Because I was like, fuck authority, all authority from the jump. And like, I'm quietly seething, but I'm biding my time.
Right. And I was super respectful for authority.
Oh yeah, no, I do. Well, I think you were very parented.
Yeah.
And I, from the jump, other than grandma and grandpa, like, I definitely have a very ingrained respect for elderly people. From the beginning, which is also why
that was ingrained in both of us.
Yes,
all of us.
But because we shared this, we had different parents, but we had the same grandparents.
Yeah.
So yes, for sure. And they come from a long line, and we have reunions and stuff. But that's also, I think, why the old people, an older and to my mind, old person suffering is a huge trigger for me to cry in movies. Do you know the movie Groundhog Day?
Yes.
You know the scene that plays over and over where he's trying to save that old man?
Yes.
Like, he brings him in and gives him soup and he whatever, and he's so nice to him. To this day, I will cry if I see it. And every time I've seen that movie a bunch of times, and that scene repeats over and over, but it kills me. So I think it was really like, I just really didn't want to fuck with 30-year-olds. Mm-hmm. Like, anybody in the parental genre, like, I was like, which I don't even think I realized until we're talking about it. Mm-hmm. But I just sort of knew, like, you guys are weird. Like, there's something up. Why are you guys like this? You know what I mean?
It's just like the authority. I was always respectful of, like even to this day. But now it's hyper focused on different aspects.
But you don't have like a blind respect,
correct,
anymore. It's like you have to earn it. It's not just because
1,000%.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
You're
I think
earning the respect instead of me just being innately like, when you fill both roles yourself, you really don't feel the need to bend at the knee.
Right. My husband, he said, like, even as an adult, it didn't register that his mom was like he didn't see her as a person as much as he saw her as mom. Right. And that's developmentally appropriate. And some parents will try to maintain that. You have certain parents that like never let their kids see them sick or never let their kids see them emotional or never, you know what I mean? Because they wanted to keep that archetype instead of being three-dimensional.
They come home and visit, I do their laundry.
Right. Yeah. And I think even that like can be fine, but it's like if they don't also see the crust of you, then you are just like a laundry machine.
Are you a real person?
It just doesn't give your kid a full picture of you.
Right.
Like it's easier, I think, in those instances to just see them as like a stereotype.
How can they empathize if they don't humanize?
Okay. Sticker. Make a sticker. How can you empathize if you don't humanize?
Mm-hmm. She's not a real human. How do you empathize with her?
Right. Woo! I felt that. That was good. It was great. That was some profound ass shit. We should charge $1.99 for this episode. So
Starbucks gift cards are fine. No, I'm joking.
I'm not. I think I saw Behind the Veil right quick with my parents. Mm-hmm. And so they were very human very quickly. Mm-hmm. And so I liked the fact that these kids, when faced even with an adult, knew full well that they had weaknesses. And
you can't bullshit a bullshit.
But instead of letting it scare them, they were like, how can I use this to my advantage?
Right.
Because I was experiencing a lot of adults in my life were doing exactly what they wanted for whatever reason they wanted without thinking about anybody else. So the fact that a kid could, because I felt in a weird way like a peer a lot of the times with them, but you can't actually, right? You're a peer until they don't want you to be, and they knock you down back to being a reminder, I'm the adult. But with these bad seeds, like none of that was, they didn't have the like shame of it. You know what I'll say, actually? I read a memoir this year. I think I've probably talked to you about it like 8 times. I really liked it. Shout out. Patrick Gagney is her name, and the book is Sociopath. And she's a self-diagnosed and then diagnosed sociopath and talks about it. And the stories that she was telling and the way she would describe it, like, it's not easy on her by any means, but she did an interview about it. I like really went into a deep dive on this. And I think this is why it spoke to me, was that she said, like, now as an adult that she's had like therapy, and like more of the time it's just like placid to be her. Like there's no ripples. There's no, when there's no need to mask, then it's like she doesn't give a fuck. And not in like a bad way, just in a like, I'm not wired to care about every little thing that you're caring about. And I'm like, holy shit. Because I was wired to care only about every little thing.
Yeah, that was your survival.
Everybody else is caring about. So I do, and I liked the memoir because it was very 3-dimensional. Like there's clearly struggles that go along with it, you know? I mean, and it's the same thing like with ADHD, you know, there are things that I'm like, yes, I'm so glad that I have this. And then there are things that I'm like, this is hard.
Yeah.
So, but
this is an actual disability.
But I think it was that sociopathy in those kids, because that's what those kids essentially were. I mean, some of them were psychopaths. But,
right. With the question of, was it innate or environment?
Well, I also read a fiction, and I don't remember what it is, but if I do remember, I will put it I will make sure I share it. And it was written from the perspective of a girl who was a sociopath and who at a very young age murdered a kid. And actually having read that memoir, it sort of explained like not why you would murder, but like what that that's based in anxiety and like what that, and it was actually
triggered that response.
Yeah. But she also had the fictional character had a terrible home life. So that was to your point about nature versus nurture. It's like, well, was the nature was the sociopathy,
the
nurture, then the nurture
was the
is like whatever, right? And so but
well,
that is where I think it comes from. Is just that they seemed powerful in a way that I wished I was.
The question I was going to ask you was, if I remember correctly, and I think I've seen The Good Son and The Bad Seed from the 70s. But I remember vaguely that some of these movies of Bad Seed genre was they would attempt to bond with this parental unit that they were put in on, and were loving and affectionate and overly loving, looking for that in return. But something triggers a bad seed motive, right? So they got chastised or corrected for something that they didn't understand, and either more likely by the father, right? Because the bad seed's usually portrayed by little boys. I think there was one bad seed with a little girl.
I can't speak to this because I'm realizing now I don't have just like a mainstream interest in it. The fact that I just did a book comparison of a fiction version and a memoir.
No, I get.
I do in general. Sociopaths are and that's why the memoir was so cool and the book I read was so cool, because they were all. I really gravitate towards female sociopaths.
I mean, I see that.
So,
that's
but
fair.
I think that's the thing is like that's who you least suspect.
Right. The innocence of
the little girl.
Then, yes.
Yeah.
She wouldn't do that.
That's why we don't get diagnosed with ADHD, man. Because we are so like
we get so good at masking it.
Yeah.
And kind of walking in and, toe to step with society, how we have to do X, Y, and Z.
I think there are a lot more there's a lot more expectations. So,
correct.
But for somebody who is neurodivergent, like I think that because girls get so much more direct messaging, that is why the masking. I mean, I'm sure there's physiological, like neurological reasons too, but I think that's part of it. Is the messaging is more direct for us. Little kids are going to be told to sit still if they're girls quicker than they are boys. At least back in our day,
right?
Okay, what were you going to say?
The trigger response is usually being punished or corrected in some way.
Not getting what you want or think you deserve.
There's a boundary.
Yeah.
And the boundary is being put forth by the mother is softer at the boundaries, I would say, on a societal level, right? The mother's going to be like, now don't do that. The father comes in as the security, right? No, she said not to do that.
Yeah.
And then the kid snaps. Then all of a sudden it's game on, motherfuckers.
Well, what is your question?
Like, was that relationship
part of it
in the beginning? Right. Well, what did that resonate with you? Like the relationship in the beginning, the love, the looking for the affection from the mom, character. And then, one thing kind of triggers a response out of the bad seed to be the bad seed. I mean, just like the villain origin story. So
very interesting. And you are right about that. But when you were talking about it, I was like, is that true? Because it did not play a role. I think I remember even like with because the good son's thing is that the other kid comes in because his parents died.
Yes. And I think that's the movie.
And it's like jealousy, right? And I think I even remember at that time, like, cool it, like, who cares? But also this is like awesome that this kid is like swearing it. It was really more like I'm living for the scenes where they're going toe to toe with an adult. That was the part I liked. And that they're going undetected. Because I feel like
that makes complete sense to me, because it's like, no, you be quiet for a second.
Right.
I now have a voice and you're made to hear it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Because I grew up like I was a 10-year-old getting screamed at on the phone for forgetting an adult's birthday. Like screamed at, hung up on.
Yeah, it is 100% your fault.
Yeah. So it's like I wasn't even getting away with shit I shouldn't be held responsible for. And these kids are murdering and just like taking no prisoners.
You're like, wow.
And people are like, oh, so cute. Like, let me tell you something right now. That movie Orphan, if I could, I would, bitch.
Yes.
If I could, I would. I mean, I wouldn't be in it for the husband because, like, why? But if I could masquerade as like a 10-year-old and just get away with some shit, because what a waste. I look back now and I'm like, what a waste. Because I could have been just really fucking shit up all along. But I had been so like shamed, like it was like
so conditioned. I had been taught such a young age to comply,
right? And I had been taught, yes, from a very young age that my big emotions weren't safe.
Right.
But I did not have the emotional, like, I think that's the piece. I didn't have the missing link was my lack of sociopathy.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't keep that shit under control.
You couldn't compartmentalize that.
No, I couldn't.
There was no disassociating for you.
Right. No matter how bad it was, like, you know, in an
internalized guilt.
Yes. And I think in any love situation where there's any kind of abuse, verbal, intellectual, whatever, like, if you've bonded with this person, it makes it, you do not see them clearly.
Yep.
You know, like, I'm 42 years old. I lost my mom 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in therapy for like almost 3 years. And just this year, I'm like really digging into my mom because it was like, it's so entrenched. So I think I was like, wow, that separation from your emotions, like the fact that you can stand up to this person that you're supposed to love
and turn that other part off.
Yes.
Has got to be powerful.
Yes. Oh God. Well, thank you. Maybe I don't need therapy anymore. We'll just do this. But those kids only saw their own needs.
Yeah.
And
they fought for them
at all costs.
Yep. No matter who stepped in the way.
Okay, it's solved. I'm solved. That is what it was. 110%. Is I wanted someone for fuck's sake.
Lord, she's cured.
I wanted someone else in my life to put my needs completely above theirs and stay on the bus or get me off that boat with them. Mm-hmm. I jump, they jump. No, because it was usually they jump, I jump. And then for myself, I wanted to be able to be like, no, I want this and I'm entitled to this. You know what I mean? Because like at the end of the day, that kid, Macaulay Culkin was just like, you're my mom.
Yeah.
Not this guy's mom. Why should I have to share you? And that's fucked up, but also like a thing kids think.
Yeah.
So yes, in answer to your question, it all leads back to you want to learn about yourself, just really ask yourself what your favorite films and movies were. Who did you look up to? So who did you look up to then? Okay. It's not the bad scene. Obviously you're not.
No, it's not I think, oh man, this is deep cutting it. I was an odd child. I liked long, epic films.
Okay.
Like I have raging ADHD, but my ass could sit in front of the TV and watch Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor or Gone with the Wind. I could sit through those long, epic intermission, Turner Classic movies and be completely enthralled. Captivated, if you will.
I legit remember being surprised by that as a kid. Because I remember when like I was a big reader and I was reading like all the Fear Streets and you were like, I don't have the patience for that. And then you came over one day and you're like, oh, Sense and Sensibility. Have you seen that? And I'm like, what?
Start to fucking finish, bro.
Well, Emma, like all of those, you Emma, like it like, well, Anne of Green Gables was kind of boring.
Yes. And don't forget Anne of Avonlea. And then the offshoot Avonlea. Don't play with me. I was in, and I think I had to do a lot with period pieces too. Like I love time travel.
Yeah.
And I think like, if you think about Cleopatra, this one all started really, right? Like,
and was your mom into Cleopatra? Is that why you
like she tolerated it with me? I think they were.
Well, how did you come across it then?
I think it was folding laundry. I came down Saturday afternoon.
But who was watching it?
I think my mom or my dad. So, but it was like, I mean, what do you watch? You know,
so it had nothing. It wasn't like
I didn't find it on pay-per-view and say I want to watch.
Obviously, in our day, children couldn't just look things up and watch whatever they wanted. We were deprived. I
mean, legit. It was.
But what I mean is, it's not like you're connecting it to like, oh, I like this because dad or mom likes it. You just liked it independently. You just saw it and something happened to you.
I saw Liz Taylor walking in or being rolled into the room out of the carpet.
How put us at an age around
12, 13.
Oh, so you were a teen. This wasn't like you weren't
teen.
You weren't like a little kid.
No, I was like, well, I mean, I can't honestly
that the memory
remember.
is from
yes, the memory.
Okay.
Like I would say, and she was beautiful, and she she had the fit, the outfit, like, and she was powerful, and she walked in and owned it, and she was calculating, and she was a lot like a man in those days.
For
like,
you, in
people
your
feared
mind,
her.
yeah.
Yes, people feared her. Men feared her.
Yeah.
And but then she was still soft enough to choose, her men in her life, like Caesar. She had chosen these powerful men that still, with all of their power, still respected her power and still feared her. And to a point where all of that, came to the end, where she, sacrificed her life for her country and her love.
Oh my God, where would you like me to begin?
I mean, I'm already there, so let's, jump on in. The water's fine.
Wow.
It's a lot. And then the pretty dresses. Like I'm 11, 12, and I'm like, that gold sheath dress that she wore when they were carrying her through. I don't know if it was Alexandria or Rome. I think it was when she was in Rome. It was chef's kiss, dude. It was beautiful.
Thank God for you that there was enough peer pressure to keep you from like wearing a sheet to school after that, because you were like the fashion,
dude.
Although maybe you would have been like Regina George and everybody else would have worn sheets.
No, that's not how it would have went. Inner city schools do not play those games.
I know they don't.
No.
I'm well aware. Thank you.
For me.
I wore thigh highs once. Somebody said, "Ew, you're trendy," and I was like, "This is the worst day of my life."
I really wish I could wear clothes like they do now in high school: sweatpants and freaking Crocs. Let's go.
I know they seem like they're impatient,
fucking
and
spoiled.
God bless. Okay,
yeah.
So let's unpack. Where to begin? Well, I think on a societal level, right? You exist very much. Don't cancel her. We were born in the 80s. Before I say this, okay? It's hard work. You're very much in the binary. Like it's
traditional when it comes to certain things.
Yes.
Not all things, but certain things.
And for yourself. Like you don't care what I do or what.
1,000%.
You're like, yes, I love that your husband makes your lunch.
I get it, girl.
So I just want to make sure everybody knows. But for you think in those terms.
I got preferences.
And I think it spoke to you that she was able to do both.
Yes.
Right? Because she could
successfully.
She was being the son he never had.
Mm-hmm. And she successfully, her reign was considered fruitful. Well, she added the most to the Library of Alexandria. Like she tried to protect that, the knowledge and the culture and her whole, rule was considered almost like a Renaissance in Egypt. Sorry, that got really brainy. I nerded out really quick. I love me some Cleopatra. Apparently,
you know what your Roman Empire is? Mm-hmm. The Egyptian Empire.
I mean, I don't know why I'm like this.
Who cares? Well, we're here to find out.
I mean, right. Let's crack it open.
So I think that is why, like, it was aspirational to you, because she could be this powerhouse, but not sacrifice her femininity.
No,
like she was feminine as hell, viewed as like this beauty.
I just picked out another movie, but continue. Like this is now I'm having in a real time.
So I'm hitting
realization.
I'm on it.
Oh my God, Queen Elizabeth, bro. Like same bitch. Like we're talking like she was the virgin queen, but she had 3, 4, 5, 6 suitors through her whole reign. She was, dipping her pen in the company ink, but she ruled England.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Do you think that the reason you like it in period pieces is also because it's so scandalous back then?
It goes entirely against the grain for that.
So it's like less impressive now because it's more accepted.
Correct.
But when you see it back then, you're like, you really did something.
You really
like
stepped out
Katharine
of your comfort
Hepburn
zone.
wearing pants.
Correct.
Do you know that quote from Katharine Hepburn?
No.
Barbara Walters asked her, When are you going to wear a skirt, darling? When will we see you in a skirt? And she goes, I'll wear one to your funeral, Barbara.
Snaps. That she ate.
Talk about our feeling, dovetailing, because she just read Barbara Walters for filth and did not care about her feelings. And she was a badass woman back in the day. So that is what I think speaks to how you look at and want to move through society. Like your ideal would be to be able to be.
That's my final level. That's my final boss in life.
Yeah.
To become that?
Can I lean into whatever part of me at whatever time?
Yes.
Like gender code switching, still feel like right in myself.
Correct.
For all
I feel good in my skin. I feel the moves I'm making.
Right.
Feel organic and natural.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, and I would, this is my own vanity. I would prefer if they were red bottoms, but like, do you know what I mean? Like that's who I am.
But now you want to have purchased them yourself.
Correct.
Whereas 20 years ago, you'd have wanted somebody to purchase them for you.
Correct.
There you go. Okay, let's get a little harsher now into the reality of it. Let's dig into family systems a little bit here. So a couple things. You liked that she sacrificed for her country.
Yes.
And because
that's living through my father.
Because of your dad. We both are like, yes, like I went right to vets seeing their dogs. Yes. I think we have a respect for the troops.
Well, yes. I think if I'm going to get deep cuts, if we want to get deep cuts, is because we're 3 girls. There were no boys. So we had to add on more respect and more of that compliance to authority because we were making up for lost boys. There were no boys in our family.
So you felt like you needed to be more feminine, or you feel like you need to fill both roles?
I need to fill both roles.
Got it.
Like, and that's why I think I like the leaders and I like the females or the women that portray warriors.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Those are the icons for me, right?
Because they're not doing it for some expectation of somebody else. They're doing it because that's what they want. Like they're in charge because
Correct.
of it, not complying because
of their own free will.
Yeah, totally. Also, though, you said something about all the men feared her, even when she was with her man, and they were like strong men. So it wasn't like they were like they weren't like they were masculine too. Like it wasn't like
they filled that trope.
Yeah, 100%. So they filled that trope, but yet they were kind of afraid of her.
Dude, this is
mind
blowing.
But also, and you're gonna tell me how much you feel like this hits for your parents, but like with our grandparents, our grandpa had a very healthy fear of our grandma.
100%.
Like that was like the cute like joke because he wasn't really afraid of anything, but like he was afraid of getting in trouble, and he was always like,
oh, don't tell your grandma.
Well, no, it was like your dad would say don't tell mom, but then he was so afraid not to tell her that he would like was busted and tattled on himself, like we stayed for a beer after work, so what,
sue us.
And it was like, dude, you didn't even have to tell her.
But no, my whole thing is from a period piece aspect, the contrast was men feared smart women.
Yeah.
So all of these women that I looked up to were very intelligent, very cunning, and willful and stubborn.
So your mom?
I would say, yeah.
The idealized version of your mom. Like, almost like what your mom would probably agree with everything that you're saying. Correct. Like, would probably aspire to these things too.
Correct.
For sure.
There were no smart, big mouth women in ancient Egypt.
Well, at least as far as we thought.
Other than Cleopatra.
And they weren't getting disrespected. It wasn't, because so often it's painted as like a bad thing. Mm-mm. These women were still still represented as beautiful, powerful, successful.
And real. These women existed.
Yeah. I also think you were talking about the fashion, that it was safer when you don't grow up with money. It's safer to like aspire to a period piece because you're not going to wear it anyway. Whereas like you're watching Clueless and you want those clothes, you're like, damn. Some people I know have those clothes.
That, and I don't.
Right. But like nobody was coming to school in a corset.
Right.
So it was like, cool. That's the only reason I'm not wearing it.
Because it was so epically done. What would you say is your movie or show or entertainment that you indulge in that shows progress of who you are now, or where you're traveling to that progress?
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind to me is like, I don't know if I'm answering your exact question, but like
my question was kind of gooby. Gooby.
Cool. It's great. I got about 7 minutes left of her before she's just gone. Before she gets totally gooby.
2G. Okay.
So, I think the grown up version of that, where like that still kind of shows where I've come from, but that I'm growing, is like, and as these are very universal, so I feel a little less like a creep than I did when I rode hard for the bad seed. She was doing great. I really like true crime.
Yes.
And I really like watching these housewives fight on the television.
I'm just getting into it. I finished season 1.
Come into my web.
I'm getting there.
What a gift I've given you, and you don't even know. Like the amount of just hours you have in front of you.
Catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Save it for a rainy day.
Goobery. The adrenaline I feel every time they're like next week on it, I'm like, right now. How about right now? I get to see what happened. Boom.
I mean,
you don't have to wait to be able to remember the entire season and watch a reunion.
Bro, I am. Listen. Reality shows don't tweak my brain like they used to. Like reality shows, sometimes it's almost like, this isn't reality. You guys are obviously putting on a show for us. And that's okay once I tell my brain to realize that this isn't real life.
But I think
they say it's real life, but it isn't real life.
But I think when you watch it, you see that it's like, it's curated, but they're genuinely pissed off at each other.
Oh, 100.
Like feelings are actually getting hurt. Needs are like,
that's when it's exciting.
Right.
When people crack. That's why I think it's like when people watch the Olympics, you are waiting for somebody to fuck up. I don't care who you are. You might want the person to succeed and you're like, yay. But if you see somebody ice skating and you're like, it's the anticipation of the fuck up that you want to see.
I either want a 10 out of 10 across the board performance, or I want that Australian breakdance lady who got a 0.
Yes.
Like, I want to feel exhilarated one way or the other. Like, if you're just
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, if you're just like a solid bronze, like, God bless, you deserve your screen time.
But my ADHD is
you're providing me very little dopamine.
Exactly.
So no, thank you.
Okay, so we got reality. Okay. And
well, the thing too is, I know somebody who also loves Housewives, but is like, no, I don't watch the reunions. I just want to get to the next season. And that is so. I watching the season so I can enjoy the reunion. That is my treat. That is my prize, because I get
accountability,
comeuppance.
Yes, you like to see the accountability in real time.
So I think that's what it is like it speaks to the part of me that like that's still got the toxicity of like, just like with the ice skating thing, right? Like I'm still wired to be drawn to conflict.
Yep.
And I'm still wired to be. So if I can turn it into something where it's just voyeuristic.
Well, there's also that justice seeking where you're like, take the accouability.
Well, and that's why I like the reunions.
Yeah.
Because the reunions get crazy, but there's Andy to kind of, to varying degrees of success, moderate.
Right. But there's receipts.
There's proof, there's timelines, and there's screenshots. There's all of it. And that is why I love it. Because in real life, I feel like people, sometimes on reality TV, I like it because they do the things that like, because they're so shady, or because they're all sort of thinking in the way that my trauma responses think, which is like, I'm being watched. I need to think about what I look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I like
everything is optics.
Yeah. And I think it's really exciting to watch like these narcissists, some of them, not be able to hide who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like like you said, when they break and when they're real, you're like, oh my God, you cracked.
Yep.
Like you were the one trying the hardest to like only give you the
I want to see the real you.
Yeah. Like
I want to see the plumped up lips and the Botox, babe. I want to see the real you. I want to see you break down a little bit.
Right. Like I want to you and I both know that you're not perfect because you're human. Like give me all of the crust. That's what I'm interested in. But I think to get to see it play out and just be eating my popcorn. And I think the growth was that I used to love shit like Bad Girls Club.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what this is, but it's less like we're just going to put people with issues in a house together and like trigger them. Like now I can't watch Bad Girls Club because I'm like, this is like, that feels way more exploitive, whatever, than
Real Housewives.
Yeah, they're rich as fuck. Like I'm not going to feel bad for you.
You made your bed.
Eat the rich.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that. And then true crime, it's the same.
Love a true crime.
If I can figure out, I like in all of these instances figuring out the motivation for people, because growing up, like if you can figure out what motivates people, and I guess to some extent the true crime is still the same. Like if I truly understand what I'm up against, then I can handle it.
Oh God,
right?
Or learning about, I love a serial killer documentary. I love,
See, but that doesn't track with all of your, like, at least I'm watching the Bad Seed first.
Well, no, it's the brain. I want to know the motivations behind it. And it's like a puzzle to me. And that just part of me is super interesting. I love a
so does it have
documentary.
Does it have to be like very much about their like about the mind of the killer? Are you less into one that's about the crime of it?
Right. I want to know about the mind.
Yeah.
The motivations.
I definitely do too. Okay. Let me punt it back to you then. Okay. So is there anything else that you like, either you see, you're like, damn, I still got a ways to go because I'm still into
Yellowstone.
You've been talking about this a lot. Talk me into watching Yellowstone.
Oh, it's so, like, saying it out loud really is just yelling it to me. Okay. So there is a right-hand man of the owner of the Duddard Ranch. Okay. His name is Rip. Got it. The daughter of the main character is Beth. And they have this kind of back and forth ping pong relationship since they were teenagers. And Rip has always
Anne of Green Gables.
Yes.
And like Scarlet.
Yeah. I know you're reading me for filth, but Rip always had this kind of like affection for her. And then in the last couple of seasons, they get married. They actually they're navigating their relationship now. And Rip is that quintessential Montana ranch guy, right? Like
very masculine.
Yes.
Marlboro man.
Yes. He is when he needs to be, when it's warranted, but he respects and loves Beth. Like to the point where there's a scene where they all go out to a bar and this drunk woman comes up to Rip, and Rip is just watching his girl dance with friends from the ranch. This woman comes up to him, leans on him. She's like, so what are you doing up here? Starts hitting on him. And he's like, no, I'm watching my wife dance. And she's like, oh, I'm married too. And he's like, well, that's my wife. She's like, oh, I'll go talk to her. No worry. Cause then Beth is staring at her. And
so
Rip
she
is like, no, don't do that to this poor unsuspecting.
Oh shit.
And Beth, which everybody knows at this point, that Beth is going to steamroll this bitch. Like they know she's going to break a bottle and try it. Like this is an all out brawl.
Now you're speaking of the Bad Seed lover and me. Are we going to start watching Yellowstone? Probably.
Yes. And she goes off on this chick. And they are all like, then you cut to, they're all outside and the cops are out.
Oh no.
And everybody's like, no, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. And Beth hits her again when she says something smart about her. So Wonderful. It's great. And then they arrest Beth. But then they get her out. It's very much, these are rich ranchers and the rich rancher family and the legacy behind these ranchers.
And so was Rip, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yep.
What was Rip's take on Beth's behavior?
He knew that was going to pop off.
But what were his feelings about it afterwards? Like, was he supportive or was he like, what are you doing?
I think it was a little bit of both. I don't think he was ever embarrassed by her.
Okay.
It was almost to the girl like, you effed around and you definitely found out, but now I got to get Beth out of trouble. Like, there was no correction on his end.
It was just like Beth's being Beth again.
Yes, but it was like, how are we going to get her out of this mess? Because she was the daughter of...
So she got to be super manly and then get her ass rescued by a hot guy.
Correct.
I don't think you should apologize at all for this because you're not living this life. You're empowered. So yes, you're going to come home and want to see that.
And I don't want to fall for a toxic man. Like I don't see Rip as being there's not a lot of toxic masculinity that I perceive. No, there is. I'm sure there is. But I think the good outweighs the bad in his character.
Well, a lot of toxic masculinity is entrenched in the either avoiding seeming feminine or avoiding being with someone who's masculine. And what you like cancels out those tropes because you want a strong woman. So if he's with her by design, he's got to not have some of that toxicity because he's comfortable to be a partner and not a leader. What you have interestingly not touched on at all is your love of Hallmark fucking films.
Oh, fucker.
But I think that's the same thing. Like, I don't want to be
I never used to. This is the first year I fully immersed myself.
Because it's fantasy. It's not aspirational.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, I don't actually want to hope that I have children now. Like, Bad Seed, no, thank you.
Like, I'm good.
But I still like the stories. It just isn't speaking to me in the same way.
Right.
And I think that's the same thing. I'm not going to call somebody a prostitution whore, but I fucking love watching somebody else do it and then throw a table. Because I'm like, look at that unbridled. Like, how can I be hard on myself if I, like, snap at somebody when there are people that have this little control, and I'm expecting myself to be an automaton. So I think it's liberating instead of aspirational.
Right.
Just to be like, okay, it's fun. This is fun. This is fun to, like, dip my toe in there. And I feel like just because of the dopamine seeking, if I wasn't doing that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I might get confrontational, or I might get, I might try to push mommy down the stairs. Well, we want to hear from the people. What do we want to hear from the people? What do we want to know?
I mean, you guys got to have the same kind of, thought processes with the movies that you watch. I want to hear what movie or show was your fallback.
Yeah. Start with what your comfort show was,
right,
and then ask yourself why. And then we're really sorry for what is going to happen, but then we want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
So look us up on social media and tell us.
Yep. Get them tissues.
Bye, breathers.